Every year, the world produces about 25 billion liters of wine, enough to fill nearly 10,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Yet this drink, known as the nectar of the gods, was once made using an incredibly simple tool: human feet. From grape vats stomped by foot for thousands of years, the art of winemaking has now entered a completely different world. Here, tons of grapes are harvested in the middle of the night, crushed in massive machines, and then quietly transformed inside steel tanks and oak barrels for months, even years. Behind every bottle of wine, therefore, lies not only the flavor of a grape, but also the intersection of nature, time, and technology. So what really happens from the moment a bunch of grapes leaves the field until the sound of a cork popping is heard at the dinner table? Let's join Mido Explained and explore the entire journey right now. Wine first appeared thousands of years ago, when ancient civilizations discovered how to turn grape juice into a drink that could be stored for longer. From simple clay jars to vast wine cellars across Europe, winemaking techniques continued to be passed down and refined through generations. Today, that journey still begins in the vineyards. As summer gradually comes to an end, rows of vines begin to bend under the weight of plump grape clusters that have accumulated enough sugar. The peaceful atmosphere quickly gives way to the busiest season of the year. In the United States, especially California, vineyards stretching all the way to the horizon are now harvested by massive machines. And from the moment the first grapes leave the vine, the journey of creating a bottle of wine officially begins. A good bottle of wine begins with grapes that have reached the right level of ripeness. Depending on the type of wine, producers will choose the appropriate grape variety, because its sugar, acidity, and aroma will directly affect the final product. Before harvesting, grape juice is tested using a refractometer to measure sugar content, an important factor because this sugar will later be converted into alcohol by yeast. If harvested too early, the grapes are usually sour and low in sugar. Too late, the fruit may lose the necessary balance. When the right time comes, harvesting machines quickly separate and collect the grapes. In particular, many vineyards choose to harvest at night, when lower temperatures help keep the grapes cool before they are quickly transported to the winery. As soon as the grapes arrive at the winery, they are fed into a crusher destemmer. Here, the grapes are separated from the stems. Then rollers gently break the skins to release the sweet juice inside. Interestingly, grapes are not crushed as hard as possible. If the seeds are broken too much, the compounds inside can give the wine an unwanted bitter and astringent taste. Therefore, the machine applies just enough force to break the grapes while limiting the crushing of the seeds, which is also the principle behind why grape stomping by foot was used for thousands of years. After crushing, the grape juice mixes with the pulp and skins to form a mixture called must. The color of wine is not simply determined by the color of the grape juice, but largely by the skins. This is also where the production processes for red wine and white wine begin to take two different paths. For white wine, the juice is separated from the skins and grape solids before fermentation, helping preserve a lighter color and more delicate flavor. In contrast, for red wine, the skins are kept in the tank to remain in contact with the grape juice during fermentation. At this stage, color, Tannins and many aroma compounds from the skins gradually blend into the wine, creating its distinctive red color, structure, and astringency. The juice of many red grape varieties is also quite pale at first. It is the skins that are one of the key factors that transform it into the familiar glass of red wine. What truly turns grape juice into wine is not massive machines, but billions of tiny yeast cells. Inside the fermentation tank, they consume the natural sugar in the grapes and convert it into alcohol and carbon dioxide. Winemakers can use natural yeast or cultured yeast to make the process more stable. The amount of sugar in the tank is monitored using a hydrometer. As the sugar decreases, the amount of alcohol formed increases. If the grapes do not accumulate enough sugar due to seasonal conditions, producers can add sugar to increase the amount of alcohol produced, rather than simply to make the wine sweeter. On average, about 17 grams of sugar in each liter of grape can produce nearly 1% alcohol. The fermentation process usually lasts about 7 to 14 days. In just about 2 weeks, the sweet grape juice undergoes its most important transformation to truly become wine. Fermentation may take only a few weeks, but for the flavors to truly mature, some wines must wait for many months, even many years. This is when the aging process begins. Depending on the desired style, the wine is stored in stainless steel tanks, concrete tanks, or oak barrels. With modern steel tanks, the temperature is controlled by an external cooling jacket, where liquid continuously circulates to maintain a stable environment. But oak creates a different story. Oak barrels do not simply hold the wine. During aging, they can add layers of flavor such as vanilla, spices, or woody notes, while allowing a very small amount of oxygen to pass through, helping the wine's flavor and structure gradually become more balanced. Therefore, the aging time and material not only determine where the wine is stored, but also help shape the aroma, structure, and complexity of each bottle of wine. Few people would think that egg whites could appear in the process of producing a bottle of wine. After fermentation and aging, extremely small particles of sediment may still remain in the wine, making the liquid cloudy and affecting the stability of the final product. To remove them, winemakers can add clarifying agents such as bentonite clay or egg whites. Instead of dissolving into the wine, they bind with suspended particles, forming larger clusters that slowly settle to the bottom and are then removed. The wine then continues through a filtration system, where any remaining small particles are captured before moving on to the next stage. Thanks to these 2 steps, the wine goes from containing sediment to becoming clear, stable, and ready for the final finishing steps. A bottle of wine does not always come from a single grape variety or a single batch. Winemakers can combine wines from different grape varieties or different tanks to achieve the desired flavor. First, small samples are blended in different proportions and tasted. One may add aroma, while another brings acidity, color, or structure. Once the right formula is determined, these proportions are then applied to the entire large batch. Thanks to this, thousands of bottles in the same batch can maintain consistent flavor and quality. Once the flavor meets the required standards, the wine is sent to an automated bottling line and filled in precise amounts. Before sealing, a small amount of preservative may be added to limit oxidation and prevent microorganisms from spoiling the wine. The bottles are then sealed with corks or screw caps, covered with a protective layer, and labeled with the origin, vintage, and alcohol content. Finally, they are packed into boxes or stored further before reaching consumers. Sealing the bottle does not necessarily mark the end. Some wines continue to mature in the bottle for many years, allowing their flavors to gradually become more balanced and complex. But wine does not necessarily get better the longer it is stored. Its aging potential also depends on the grape variety, acidity, tannins, and the weather of the harvest year. Therefore, every bottle of wine is the result of an entire journey from the vineyard to the day the cork is opened. From the feet that once stomped grapes in stone vats thousands of years ago, to today's harvesting machines, fermentation tanks, and automated bottling lines, the way humans make wine has changed almost completely. But one thing remains unchanged. It all still begins with a tiny grape and ends with the patience of time. And that journey has not stopped evolving. As machines become increasingly precise, science can control every stage better than ever before. But nature still holds part of the decision that humans cannot completely replace. Perhaps it is this combination of a craft thousands of years old and modern technology that gives every bottle of wine its own story. What about you? Which stage in the journey from a bunch of grapes to a bottle of wine surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe to Mido Explained, and see you on the next journey.